My name, like Mr. Karanja said, is John Nganga. I think I only qualify to talk to you because I'm 70. But I've just met Justin, who has always been older than me, and I will never catch up. Because Justin Kimani is my friend, and he looks young, but isn't. He feels young. He was born 1940s, I was born 1952, so you can see he comes from another decade. and a few others may be like that. My discussion today, about 40 minutes, I have a timer, so I'll make sure I don't go beyond it. About 40 minutes. Is just to discuss about life in retirement. What is it? How do you prepare for it? How do you maximize those years? Those are the questions I'm answering. I'm not an expert. I just happen to be a retiree. So I'm sharing my experience and the lessons I'm learning out of it. And because I can see, I can see we are quite a few. Those are some of the things I thought I would deal with. But I think a few things that I want to say right at the beginning is you'll be better off if you have a pre-retirement planning. In other words, nothing works simply if you find yourself in it without preparation. And we must be grateful to Mr. Karanja that he is forcing you. Some people don't like to think. He is forcing you to think about retirement. Upende? Usipende. Because to me that is the most important input. As we sit here, we have three types of people seated here. The first category of people are called the people who do not learn from experience. They are called the unchanging. They do things the same way, irrespective of experience. I was another time asked to talk to a parents meeting in a school, and they asked the parents, when you were young, were you beaten by your parents? And of course the parents were very excited. Wow, my father was terrible. My mother used to remove something from the fire and beat me. So all of them, they were competing to explain how badly they were beaten. Next question. They were asked, do you beat your children? And they said, yes. Third question. Do you think you gain much out of the beating? Oh, no. Then why do you beat them? So there's a difference between discipline and beating. And they claim what they got from their parents was not discipline, it was beating. And they said it did not work. In fact, made them beat against their parents. Then they admitted they are doing exactly the same. That category is not as rare as some people like to think. And even look at your own life. There are things that have gone wrong with the life, but you still behave the same way. The other day you told your wife that her food had no comparison with what your mother used to make. And it was very rough. She was very annoyed. Why are you comparing with your mother? Now, then last week you repeated it. Now, are you not seeing that basically you are in that category that does not learn from experience? And to enter retirement with that kind of mood, please prepare to endure retirement, not to enjoy it. There are two types of people. Some enjoy retirement, others endure it. All of us must go through it. The choice is whether you enjoy or endure is yours. So I really would like to encourage you to come out of that thing. There are things at the age of 50, there are many experiences you have. Learn something from it. The next category of people seated here with me are people who are reactive. Normally when we call someone reactive, we are not happy with him. Am I right? But can you see a reactive person as a much better person? A reactive person is a person who waits for something to happen and learns from it. Can you see how good he is? A reactive person is a very good person. If something succeeds, he asks himself, what did I do that helped me succeed? And so he wants to repeat that because he knows it works. If something bad happens, instead of just crying and complaining, he also says, what can I learn from this bad experience? And so the good thing with the reactive people, they do not at all repeat the same problem. Because every problem trains them. So by the time you come to retirement, you have had all those experiences, some good, some bad, but from both, you have learned something. So you live your life much better than young people can. That is if you are reactive and not the first group of unchanging. People who don't appreciate history doesn't affect them in any way. They never learn anything. These ones are very useful. The only thing we had from teachers that they told us, experiences are good teachers. What they forgot to tell you is a very expensive teacher. Please, if you have an alternative way of learning, don't learn from experience. Because although it's a good teacher, it's an expensive teacher. You know, you did something and your child died. Now, you have learned how to treat the other ones. But that first one is already dead. It's a very expensive teacher. So to me, this morning, I want to encourage you neither to be unchanging, not to be reactive, but to come to the third category. They are called the proactive people. Proactive people are people who never go to any project before doing a dry run. To be proactive means you live in the future in advance. You ask yourself, how will I be in retirement? Then now at the age of 50, you go to details like you're entering there. When I'm 70, how will I be like? And you gather all the information about life in the 70s, and you are living there, you can see the troubles in it, and then you ask yourself, what can I do? So a proactive person is a person who always lives in the future today. He always wants to go into something and think about it before it happens. Unfortunately, this category of people are very rare and very few. But those are the people who enjoy retirement. Because whether good or bad, the things that happen don't shock them. They saw a long time ago, they saw it happening, and they actually prepared for them. That's why people who are proactive will have the same challenges with you, but they will never be traumatized. Because they could see it coming before it actually came. So they're able to deal with it. But let me tell you the trouble you have. Our culture does not allow us to be proactive. This Muse is my old friend. Now, if I can see the way he is sitting, he's going to fall. I just looked away, he's likely to fall. In my culture, I'm not allowed to tell him he's going to fall. If I tell him he's going to fall, then he actually falls. What will the relative say? I'm a witch. I bewitched him. So we normally allow him to fall. I knew it. I knew he was going to fall. I'm telling you about it. People say, you know, that music is going to fall. Like a human end. Let the owners say it. And I discovered, I used to think it's a Kikuyu problem. Then I used to work for Shell, and I got a chance to look after 10 countries. So I used to cover from Mauritius, Madagascar, this region in Djibouti, Sudan. And I discovered all the 10 countries I was dealing with, the culture is the same. People do not want to say something is going bad. In case they are the ones who made it go bad. There's a cultural belief that if you don't say something is going bad, it will stop it from going bad. And if you say it's going bad, you'll make it go. First of all, we know it is not true, don't we? But that's the picture. You see somebody's daughter, the way they are standing at the corner with somebody's son, that girl will get pregnant. You don't tell the parents. The day she's pregnant, I say, I knew it. It's our culture. So our culture stops us when you want to think about the future, they have a problem. For example, insurance people have a lot of difficulty selling what they are calling last rights. Are they called last rights? Yes. Where you buy your own coffin in advance. Yes. The very thought, what's wrong with you? Now, but surely, there are some things you think might happen, and some you are sure will happen. Dying is not one of the ones you think might happen. The death rate is 100%. There's no likelihood you are not going to die, my sister. You are sure. So the kind of insurance you are sure will make will be useful. But there have a lot of difficulties telling why. Because our culture does not allow us to think about the future. And you know, if you think about it, you make our work easier. Because you write a will. Now, the Unclaimed Financial Asset Authority has 40, I think they're talking about almost 50 billion. Am I right? All the 50 billion is because of people who don't prepare for retirement. And some of them are seated here. Now, before your money goes there, you came to this meeting. You need to think about one of these days when you are not alive, when you are dead. How will your family know where your money is? Can you imagine for how long banks have enjoyed this money? And it's in billions. Until a young man, another young man, he started telling me, do you know, we cannot allow the bank to have this money. I said, what are you talking about? About 15 years ago. He told me I'll go to Parliament and try to lobby among parliamentarians. All that money should go in a parastato so that at least it can benefit the country rather than the banks alone. And he was able to work until he finally got an authority called, and he was the first chairman of that authority called Unclaimed Financial Assets. And the Unclaimed Financial Assets is a proof of people that don't think ahead. That cannot imagine. They imagine that if you think something can happen, it will happen. That's my main message for today. That if you are going to enjoy your retirement, you must stop that African cultural belief system that if you believe something will happen, something bad might happen, it will make it happen. The truth of the matter is, when you think about something wrong that could happen, 3 things happen. Number 1, it removes trauma. Because now when it actually happens, you knew it could happen, therefore you are not traumatized. You knew it could happen. You are not happy it happened, but at least you are ready for it. Number 2, there is a likelihood that you will do things that could stop it happening. Am I right? Yeah, some of those things you can actually stop. But if you actually never thought about it, you'll do nothing, it will happen. But by knowing it might happen, you actually got yourself to where you thought, what can I do to stop it from happening? And if you do it, it actually doesn't happen. But thirdly, and most importantly, when you think about something bad happening, you see it happening, you finally come to think, how can I reduce its impact? If it happens, how can I reduce its impact? I was in charge of logistics for Shell, which was then the biggest oil company in Kenya. And as part of that proactive culture, we started imagining our trucks going to Uganda having accidents. So you do your best, we train the drivers, we give them defensive driving skills. It's a way of stopping them having an accident. But then you tell yourself, in the most unlikely event that this tanker driver still ends up in an accident, it's too bad it has happened. How can you reduce its impact? So we went all along Mombasa to Maraba Road, identifying hospitals and arranging with them that if a driver is brought here, don't ask for money. Shell will look after can you imagine how many minutes will happen? If the guy comes and he's a card, or he says he's Shell, you ring the head office, confirm it is our truck. They'll start treating him because they know they will be paid. Am I communicating? And you know those few minutes in an accident can determine whether you die or live. Am I right? But if you don't think about accidents happening, you can't stop them happening. And if they happened, you cannot reduce the impact. That's why you came here. You have to imagine yourself at the age of George, he died at 101. Imagine that God gives you opportunity. How kind of life will you live? What are the possible challenges then? And if those challenges are there, how can you reduce the impact of being 101? That's what you are here about. If you do nothing about it, you might still be 101, but enduring rather than enjoying. The choice is yours. That's really what we are here about. And I'm hoping, as we discuss, you ask yourself that. You know, like now, a lot of the things you are thinking about retirement, and I'll come because I realize I'm taking more time in my introduction than I intended. Think about the kind of things you need in retirement. You need food. Even if you are not able to work, you still need to eat, unless you want to commit suicide. So you must ask yourself, if I live to 100, and the trouble is you have worked for 40 years, and you are now 65, you are likely to live another 40 years. You need food for that long length of time. What about shelter? By the time you actually retire, obviously you must not be on a mortgage. So it's better to go for a cheaper house, but ensure by the age of 60, 65, you are not paying any rent. But you know, sometimes we confuse ourselves. The beautiful house is in Nyarugunga, the one in town you are renting. And you have to make up your mind. Where are you retiring? In Nyarugunga or in Abamatasia? Where are you actually retiring? Don't put the house in Nyarugunga if you are retiring in Abamatasia. Am I communicating? Because that's the thought you're talking about shelter. And I mean that will be perfect. Of course, even at that level, you understand that thing I'm saying. In old age, you should not just be rich. You should be liquid. A lot of old people are actually rich, but they are not liquid. And to be rich without being liquid, you can talk about too. Because you have property worth 100 million, and you get sick in our hospital, says, I'm rich. Ask them, they don't know that met you. They want pesa, that's real. Am I right? And how long will it take you to sell your land? It's a totally useless. Old people don't just require to be rich, they require to be liquid. And that's a critical thing, you understand? And that's why I'm listing the things. Because none of these things can be sorted out by you being rich. They cannot be sorted out by you being liquid. Look at the next thing, clothing. Okay, that's not a big issue because since you are not in a beauty parade, you can wear the same dress for 20 years. But but you still need to wear. Especially because you don't want to look over old, although you don't like being old. So you have to have money for clothes. And I'm also saying this is where the biggest issue is medical care. I don't know whether some of you are in insurance, but I find these people there, if you're an MP, I really appeal to you. There's something wrong with our insurance industry. When we are young, they are selling our medical covers everywhere. They are pleading with you. You get 60 and nobody wants you. Am I right? There needs to be a law that forces them. They ate all my money and I never got sick. Now they are refusing. You know, I didn't know. Nobody prepared me. I retired. I had a share medical cover. Now I'm retiring. I'm not looking for my own. Try number one? No. Number two? No. Nobody wants anybody over 60. And those who want charge you a leg and a cow. Am I right? But you know, you need to think someone needs to talk to you earlier. Because I was told all you should have done is when you are about 58, have a medical cover. Although you still have your employer's cover, worth 5 million, now take a cover for $500,000. Because you're not taking it as a cover for now, you're forcing them. Because they are not allowed by the insurance, whatever, what do you call it? Yeah, they are not allowed to throw you out. So once you are in, at the age of 50, they'll have to keep you even at the age of 100. But when you go there at 80, they'll say we don't have such a cover. Can you see? But if nobody told me. Nobody told me that you need to find a way of entering. And if you are going for a cover of only $500,000, the premiums are very low, isn't it? It also can't be useful to you, but you know why you are entering. Now, but what I'm talking about medical cover. Now that you must know you need the medical cover will be needed, and now more than previously. So nobody prepares you. It's the most important item in old age. Food, not that important. After all, some taste you have lost. But medical cover, more than you ever needed. And that, of course, now takes me back to the shelter. That's why your shelter must be near the medical. The two must relate. If you go to Nyarugunga and you have a mansion worth 10 billion and you have no hospital of your own, you need an aircraft nearby. Because you just get sick. And to go to the nearest hospital requires a helicopter. Am I communicating? That's why your shelter and the hospital must be related. You can't go to retire in a place that has no medical care unless you want to be trouble to your sons. Now, a friend of mine the other day, where the parents retired, every time he is called, he rushes, and it's about 200 kilometers away. You know, he finally went for them and said, Brother Mtelombe said, you are not going back. What work are you doing there? Stay here. But you know, a lot of old people don't agree. They want to go to stay there. But he's the one suffering, driving at night. So he said, you stay here. Since you do nothing there, do the nothing here. The other day, the father passed away. We buried him. Now the mother is still there. In their 90s or in the 90s thereabout. You need to learn early that a beautiful house in Nyarugunga is totally useless if the governor has not yet upgraded his hospital facility. And it's not, we are not discussing academics, these are real things, isn't it? So you are buried, some of you have buried your parents, am I right? So you know what I'm talking about. And you know once your parents die, you are next. It's a queue. The other day I was talking in a funeral of one of my friends. And I told you we are not humanity, we are young, we are only 70. Now, and in the funeral, when everybody started talking, you know, wow, we are losing our parents. You know that means we are halfway. When finally it was my time to talk, I said, how cheated could we be? Our parents were teenagers, so remember, they were not going to school. So a girl would get married at the age of 16. Get the point? Because they become adults, puberty around 14, 15, by 16, 17, they are married. So they are only 16 years older than you if you are the firstborn. So when you die, you're only 15 years to death if you live to the same age. So how can you call it halfway? Now you need to understand, when you bury your parents, start preparing. Akinyorewa yule, weka maji. And we are talking about if God gives you no more old age. It could happen earlier, but we are not reaching it to happen earlier. Live to the age of your parents. Am I communicating? Yes. So you need to understand. So medical care is something critical. And I can see Dr. Ekonyo is coming later in the program. That's an expert to ask him questions. Me, I'm just talking about how to prepare generally. It means build your shelter after you have identified where the hospital is. That means you might have to move away from your Nyarugunga, not because you don't like relatives, but because, unfortunately, there is no hospital nearby, and it will be important. Then we are talking about you need to be near where your hobbies are, because one of the things when you go to retirement is all those things you are unable to do earlier because you are trying to raise school fees for your children. Now the school fees is no longer an issue, so you now want to do your hobbies. So ask yourself, where I'm retiring, is one of these available? Talk about sports, travel, philanthropy. What are the issues? Are you a member of Rotary, whatever? Is there a branch near where you are retiring? What is it that you want to do? The above needs determine your budget. So you need to know to look at this budget and say, how prepared am I about it? So one of the things that happens, those are the needs. But the other thing you have to talk about is you have less resources. Because young age was supposed to be a time of accumulating wealth. By the time you get old, even someone like me, since I retired, I do consultancy work. But you are okay as long as you consult online. But the day they meet you and find you are 70, they wonder, hi. Back the other day, I quoted for a business, and I thought I'm winning until they were asking questions about IT. I tried to convince them, but they could not believe at 70. I know what IT is all about. And that's how I know I was never awarded the contract. Now, you need to understand, even you, when you are 40, you did not ever imagine a 70-year-old had anything useful. Am I right? So don't blame them. They just wonder whether you are thinking right. I might you be sent out. So you need to understand a lot of the things that businesses that could come up when you are younger, once you're in your 70s, they doubt your ability. By the way, they haven't proved it. They simply don't. Many of us can do a lot of good, but they don't want to try. So, less resources. The other thing you need to understand is, when I let a lot of money, and you know the economic maxim, they have the risk, they have the profit. You know that economic maxim, that anything which is not risky, everybody goes into it, and the profits go down. Are we together? So people like, if you sell drugs, the profits are very high, because any time we might put you back 10 years into a prison, isn't it? So very few of us want to be in prison, so we don't get involved. And that allows the few people who are crooks to get a lot of profit. The higher the risk, the higher the profit. They tell you, the moment you get over 60, avoid risky investments, because you might leave your family with trouble. So only enter into businesses with reasonable risk. But once you enter reasonable risks, the profits are also reasonable. They are not very high. Am I communicating? That's what you're talking about. That for example, you can buy shares, and even if 2, 3 years, 5 years, the losses are still continuing, you are getting nothing. Stay there 20 years, like the equity one, the ones who bought equity when they were building society, and it doesn't seem to bring anything. Now they are smiling, isn't it? But they are not telling you the story of the first 10 years, are they? Now the difference is, when you are 20s, do that. When you are 60s, you might be on the other side by the time it comes up. So you can't enter into that kind of risk. The risk where the returns are very high. And it's something you need to deal with. And I've talked about liquidity, and anyway, I'm trying to finish. Let me just talk about what ensures enjoying rather than enduring retirement, and I'm going towards finishing, so if we allow a discussion. The first thing, if you are going to, at least talking about myself, I think what I count most important is to sort out yourself about death. Fear of death takes away joy during retirement. And you know, at the age of 70, I'm not old, but I've really lost a lot of my friends. By the time you are 90, you might be the only one. My grandfather died well over 100. And every time I went to the village, he would say, Johnny, he used to call me Johnny. What did I do to God? He said, Grandpa, why? All people died, and even now boys are dying. And he's not coming for me. My grandfather was to die, and he's not dying. Now, I can tell you, you need to deal with the issues of life and death. You will not enjoy your retirement until that is sorted out. You can't like, it doesn't matter. You will die, and sooner rather than later. But the fact, the moment you have sorted out yourself, even if I was to die today, I know where I'm going, and I start my life after death, that fear of death disappears. If you don't sort it out, every time you have a TOEIC, you imagine it's cancer. And for the next 3 days before they verify, you have died. And you are still alive, but you are accurate. Then you go to sleep and say, hey, cancer, I'm finished. Now, but if you are ready for death, it doesn't bother you whether it becomes cancer or not cancer. It will mean very easily that the matter will not give you trouble. So to me, the thing that keeps me happy is to be ready for death. That way, the moment you are ready for death, you start enjoying living. People who fear death don't enjoy living. Because now it doesn't, you not live all your life and are afraid, no, enjoy every day. And it will not happen if you don't prepare spiritually. You may throw it out, depends on your background, your belief system, whatever, but at least, whatever your belief system, you must sort out that you are dying sooner rather than later. Because nobody will be calling you a retiree or a pensioner if you are not in the process also declaring that they don't need to get pension long enough. Otherwise, the pension schemes will die if you live forever. They have a date. And so I thought that's a matter that we need to ask ourselves by the end of today, how ready am I about the issues of death? And maybe if you have not been putting any investment in spiritual issues, start asking yourself, if I believe I'll die like a dog, then there's no need for any preparation. Because a dog just dies, isn't it? Now, are you a dog? Now, if you believe you're a dog, maybe it's okay. But if you know you are human and the other things you think about, to me, that's an issue you must enjoy. Let me repeat myself. People who are not ready to die are not able to live. And that's an issue that you need to sort out for yourself. The second thing that will sort you out if you want to enjoy life is what I'm calling social preparation. In other words, if you retire in a place where you know nobody, isn't that why our parents refuse to come to town? And they insist on living there because there's a grandchild who will come, there is a whatever. Here, nobody knows them. So they don't want to go, they don't want to come to town. And they are right. Because you in retirement, you have more time and you have more stories to tell, but every people are willing to listen. So you need to talk to each other. And I know my age mates, we go together and a guy repeats one story the 10th time I'm hearing. But you're not allowed to tell him, stop, about that one. Now, that's how old people talk. Am I communicating? You are not allowed to tell him to stop. But I was there, I know the story. No. Let him enjoy. Heavy. In fact, friendship is because you are willing to hear my nonsense. Am I communicating? Yeah. But young people feel, Papa about that story. Now you need another person who is wise enough to persevere and listen to your story. And it's important to find out, do you have those people? They will not appear when you are 80. You determine them by the time you are 50. And you talk to each other. And you say, how do you feel like, where can we go? So that if you are retiring, retire around the same place. People you talk to. Your quality of your retirement will be determined by the kind of friends you have. And so you have to find a way. Don't tell me I'm preparing for retirement and you are throwing away your friends away. You need them. They are the ones who can hear your story. They are the ones who can tell you, Like, of course, one of the big challenges of in old age is parenting adults. They are small, you pinch them, isn't it? And you sort them out. Now, when your son is 50 years and you are 80, he's also a grandfather, isn't it? It's only you are great and he's only grand. Now, but both of you are grands. Now, how can you talk to him? And you can see that you're making her terrible. But you are helpless, isn't it? You need a muse like Yanga to say, how is your place? Oh, they just did the same. Oh, then we cry together. Now, you need to say, because you are powerless. Am I right? What's this? Am I right? You are totally powerless. You can pinch them. There's nothing you can do. You need somebody who can help you with the psychology of the issue. Oh, even your place. Oh, so it's normal. It's abnormally normal. In other words, I know it's abnormal, but it is normal. And that once you know it is normal, it's not just your home. It helps you to sleep at night. Am I right? Can you see the place for social preparation? You need them. One of the preparations you need especially is your spouse. You still understand you. The other day, I think his wife went to her home village. She was from Eastern. And she was the time you like to move from place to place, seeing old people. She came up with an it's not a research. She saw many places she went. The wife looks strong, the Kamseh is weak. So he started asking what could be happening. And it was clear. In that old age, there was the mothers whom you used to harass to cook for you are refusing to cook for the husband. It is payback time. How did you treat that woman all these years? Now you are helpless. You may say, I'll beat you. He'll beat you. So at that age, you are both helpless. So others are suffering like Kenyatta without bitterness. There's nothing you can do. So where will you report her? To which chief? And she says, today I'm too tired, I'm not cooking. Now, the guy never learned how to cook. And they are just the two of them in the village. Are you getting the point? And the grandchildren are not nearby so that you can plead with them to make something for you. Now, you need, when you are 50, it's the time to start preparing to befriend that kagao. Because when you are finally just the two of you, all this running around with the dogodogos and chungwas is a waste of time. The Noga chungwa is after you once you reach 60. Am I communicating? So, and now you try to go back to the original guy. He says, wait a minute, you went. Why are you coming? But have you seen a lot of men who ran to Kashungwas in their 60s, they go back to the first wife? Have you seen it? It's not willingly. The wife says, now I don't need you. You had a wife. Why don't you go back to her? When it refuses, on the seat, they put some nails. When you try to sit, you wake up until you realize I have no alternative. I must go. You need to understand that one of the most important preparation for retirement is befriending that cacao. How do you do it? They are so difficult. The same way you did it when you were teenagers. She won, however. She agreed to marry you. But something has gone wrong. Try all those tricks now. If you used to take her for a Madazi, take her for a Madazi now. Okay, she may not like Madazi at her age. Find out what she likes. Invest. Courtship in old age is now not something you do because you want. You do it because you must. Because for now, you are not available. Not everybody is ringing you and wanting. Only that woman can take care for you. Okay, I'm talking because there are more men. I'm a man. I'm talking like a man. But it's the same thing. If you're a woman and you look down on your husband, wait until you are old enough. The other day, I'm just hoping you don't know who I'm talking about. The other day, a friend rang me. Why? Because the wife, his sister, old people, got sick. And the husband refused to pay the bills for the cancer treatment. She's dying. Why should we waste more money? And now he went looking for another younger wife. Now he was like, what do you do? What do you do with such a chaos? You see, if you have mistreated your husband constantly, and then you make a mistake of getting sick earlier than him, it's payback time. Am I communicating? So sort it out now. Don't wait until you are sick, my sister. Befriend him. Find a way of, in old age, one of the most important ingredients of old age is the ability for the two of you, if you are still alive, to talk with one another, to befriend one another, to enjoy the stories. I hope you have the kind of wife whom you are telling the story the 100th time. I think, I repeat it now. Because that's the only way of enjoying your old age. That's what I'm saying. This is nonsense. You told me that last year. Now that's not a good wife to have, but it's too late to change. So find a way of befriending her and telling her, darling, even if you know it, I have repeated it. For my sake, pretend not to have had it. That will make me happier. So basically, can you see? I don't take too much time, but I'm getting the point. Yes. That it's something you have to prepare in advance. And start befriending. There are some friends whom you dropped a long time ago. It is time to start looking for them. Not for their sake, but for your sake. People whom you know qualified to be good friends because they like you. It's only you who drop them. Number two, they are wise. They are not the kind of people who will be telling you to get a dogo at your age. Number three, they actually intend to see you prosper in old age. Look for those people and find them. So social preparation is critical. And it's not automatic. I've spent so much time talking about medical preparation. It's a part of it. Eating right, exercising right, because they are saying that those who have pain, who sweat during exercise, reduce their pain during sickness. I don't know how true the statement is. May I repeat the statement? Those who sweat during exercise reduce their pain during the sickness. So they tell us. I don't know how true it is. Ask Dr. when he comes. So it means then, at the age of 50, you have to start an exercise regime that helps you into old age to continue exercising. So that at least you don't go to a doctor and the doctor's medicine is start exercise. You should have known that in advance. Let him give you medicine rather than tell you to exercise because you're already exercising before. Anyway, medical preparation. The other thing I have put here is financial preparation. And each one of these, by the way, is a full subject. If you are spending the whole day talking about, you could spend an hour each on each one of those subjects. Because we need to talk about it and debate it. But financial preparation, you need, and this is where I'm too late, because 50 is too late to be preparing financially. But they tell me, the experts tell me, if you are 25 and you want at the age of 70 to start earning 100,000 per month until you die, the actuaries can actually calculate for you that 1,000 shillings per month could be equal to an annuity that will give you 100,000 shillings per month until you die. And yet, every month, you are producing only 1,000. Unfortunately, if you wait until you are 50, you might have to put 20,000 every month for you to, by 70, to start earning that. Are you getting the formula? Yes. So, that thing is like a miracle. This compound interest thing is like a miracle, isn't it? Because you put so little, and you just put it in the calculator. These days, they have tables. And you just see it, and it's like a miracle, just at the age of 25. So when you talk to a guy 50, you are 25 years too late. However, better late than never. So if you are 50, just go to a financial expert. Tell him, I have done my mathematics of food and everything I need. And I think by the age of 70, I want, without working or doing anything, I want to be earning 100,000. And I'm now 50, so it's 20 years away. How much do I have to save per month so that the annuity will give me 100,000 shillings per month until I die? And actually the table will show you the figure. And even at the age of 50, it's better to start giving it now, because at the age of 60 it will be worse. Are you getting the point? So it's important to understand that you need to be clear. Of course, one of clear thing is, by the time you are retired, there should be no mortgage. You should not have a loan that is making you sweat. You must be at that level, reaping where you are sowing all the years. You should not be relying on employment, having to pay mortgages. You are left with the items I listed earlier. Not a way of frightening things with the people coming to call on you because they want to take you to court. Come to that level. The other thing that another financial preparation is ensuring in your businesses you are handing over to somebody younger. You still retain the chairmanship, but you are not the CEO. That way you are able to advise. But even if you are to decide this week I'm sleeping, the business was still gone. And that is whole issue is called succession planning. But you need to find a way of withdrawing yourself. The only thing is, I always tell all the people, don't withdraw to where you start depending on your children. It is dangerous. You know, there are some families where they divided all the land and they left themselves with nothing, isn't it? Then the son says, build there. No, it's my land. Why can't you build? You have 5 sons. Why me? All the 5 sons refuse. In your own land, you have nowhere to stay. It's foolish. To hand over everything when you are still alive. Hand over 90%, retain 10%, so that even if they fight only over 10%. Are we together? That means you do not rely on your children when you are alive. You can be financially independent. Except if there is a crisis, you get sick. Sickness can go beyond your medical scheme. Am I right? Yeah. But normal living, you should not be dependent on your children at all. You know, when I call children, your son has married a wife, isn't it? Who wonders why that Muse interfere with us? You are going to have taken me to Seychelles. Now you can't because of that Muse. Why is he not dying? Now you need to get to that level. To get to that level is not wise. Find a way of preparing financially, never to need your children's money, except if they give it as a gift. Am I communicating? Yes. That's why you're even handing over your properties to them in advance, not you requiring their help. And that's something you have to work on and be ready for. Then the last item I'm calling ministry prep. You need to find a way of remaining valuable. Right up to the time you are 100 years, you need to create some system that allow me to be a useful member of society, not a dependent. So find out what you can do. What are things? The other day I was speaking to a meeting like this, but I was recorded by the Presbyterian Church moderator to talk to the clergy who are 59 to 65 because they retire at 65. And I was telling them, you have been being paid. You are being paid for advising people. In old age, you can become a free clinic where nobody needs to be paid to pay you as a pastor. Because you have looked at yourself financially, create a system of philanthropy. Are we together? And people come to you. Like the vice chairman said, you know one or two things that time people don't know, isn't it? So you now don't charge it. Okay, until you are 70, continue charging. But in old age, you don't charge it. Because the thing that makes an old man happy, it will feel needed. You will not be needed just by charging money. It is by becoming the kind of a person who is a moving dictionary, available to advise people, and feeling even at the age of 90, people are still coming to consult you. Am I communicating? Yes. You know, when it is free, they are willing to come. When you charge, they say you are too old. Now, so just be available. Are we together? Yeah, we are available. Yesterday I was speaking to a group of students in Moranga University, and of course, when I told them, I was a leader of the Christian 1974 in the university. First, they ask you which university. I tell them, in our days, nobody asked you which. There was only one. And then they tell me what the date I'm talking about, even their parents were not born. Now you can see they want to hear how was it. Now that's what old people enjoy, talking the things these people have no idea about. We are talking about preparing to be a minister, to give things freely without charging. Unfortunately, I've taken longer than I've taken 48 minutes. I was told 40. Just forgive me. But in the next few minutes, let's just discuss, even among the notes can be made available by Mr. Karanja to anybody. But I thought we need the next few minutes. Let's discuss. Remember I said I'm not an expert. I'm just provoking you. So it doesn't have to be a question, it can be a comment about something I said, but you have even something better. Just share. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I was wondering, you talked about insurance. Thank you very much. My name is CSBP Mugambi. Thank you very much, Mr. Nana, for that discussion. I was wondering, you talked about insurance. Is it possible to clarify if you have a house that you can get some rent? Does it serve the same purpose?
No. Unfortunately, no. The hospital, the rent you are getting per month may be about 100,000 shillings rent. That's a good house, isn't it? Yeah. But the medical scheme, the medical bill is $1 million.
No, the annual or the monthly income.
Oh, sorry, you are not talking about medical. You are not talking about medical. Okay. If you are not talking about medical, medical is a confused area. That's why not to have a medical cover is not wise at all. But now you are talking about how to ensure you have that money. I agree with you. Options are many. The only trouble with the rent is that we saw around the time Moi was handing over, rents started coming. Now, we know from the time we got independence, we knew values of houses already kept until the economy went wayward and the rent started going, and that's when you are going to hospital. Now you can see the contradiction. I will still encourage some pension scheme, some annuity scheme, where you do nothing and it cannot go down. You are assured of the income. In addition to the rent. Remember, you are not suggesting either or. You are saying, in addition to the rent. Remember, once you have enough money, the things I gave as items are the basic. You want to travel the world, am I right? So with extra rent, 1 month you're in Australia, or you come back and see whether we are doing okay. The next month you're in America. Enjoy your life. Are we together? Yeah, because now there's no question of the boss is calling. You're on your own, isn't it? But without money, can you travel? Even to Nyeri. You have a difficulty. You have difficulty. So you need that money, but I still think, but your financial expert will give you better information. Yes, Dada.
That is very insightful presentation. I have just a few remarks to make. My name is Mr. Barasa. I retired, so I'm not working. So you are preaching to the converted. Yeah, I wanted to say 3 things. And this is out of what I've observed. The part of the country where I come from, once you retire, I just want to caution ourselves. Once you retire, you gain so many friends. You have said we need to keep friends, but we must be aware of fake friends. There are very many fraudsters, friends, and they come with all manner of investments. They want you to invest in this and that. They tell you they know where you should now be putting your pension. So I just want to say that sometimes, again, when you retire, you need to be very careful. And there will be so many fraudsters even online, because we are BBCs, born before computers, as you have said. So if you are born before computers, and there are so many things coming up on your phone, you have a smartphone, you don't even know. So I think we need to be very careful, not to invite anything, share information. We should be very critical, very critical about who we associate with. Don't you think so?
That's a very good advice.
And we need to avoid just clicking on any button wherever you are invited. Yeah, you click on a button. You don't know what you are doing. You are sharing your information, your PIN, and especially with these telephones. You see, like Safaricom, there's a lot of fraud going on, and you can lose everything at a click of a button. So that is what I wanted just to say, that we must be very careful.
You had the 3. That's one. Go to the others.
The other one I said, we must also know that when you retire, you will be appointed all manner of chairperson, secretary, treasurer. In your church, you are being told you are now the right person to be the chair. In the village, you are the chair. Everywhere you live, people want you to be something. But we must again be aware that if you are not careful, that gap of yours will be there in the village ambulance. Anybody who is sick, you are the one to take them to hospital. You might be the one called upon to be paying for medical. People know you have money. So sometimes I've observed that. I don't know.
Another very good advice. You have a third one?
The third one is that you need to reinvent yourself. Because once you retire, to me retirement is another word of just reinventing yourself. There's nothing like retirement, because the former president, the late Moi, said, I'm retired but not tired. So when you retire, like for example in Japan, they retired 80, and before you retire you are trained. They ask you, what would you have wanted to be? You are an engineer, what would you have wanted to be? And you mentioned that you look for your hobbies. So once we retire, and personally I've retired, I'm now trying to see what I can do. You need to volunteer, as you have said, but I need to know what else can I do in society And there's nothing written on me. Your titles in the office should be forgotten, and there is no title as a retiree. So you need to
Another very good piece of advice.
Yeah, you need to be doing.
Forget about titles.
No, forget about what you are. Now,
maybe I can tell a story.
Yeah, the present is that I am who I am, and I'm moving forward. So,
Reinvent yourself.
Reinvent yourself.
You know, I think the late Dr. Gatere, talking about retirement, talk about this guy who went to Nyeri and he was a CEO here in Nairobi. The wife went earlier and they planted coffee. So he moves to the shopping center where Wazee's meet. And they don't know him. They have no idea who he is because he left the village many years ago. So he's telling them who he is. And he said, I was the CEO of, he names the company. Those ones they have never heard. So they continue talking. He said, did you hear what I said? They continue talking because they find him a nuisance.
Yeah.
Then at home, he wants to advise the wife about the coffee. He says, coffee should not be here, it should be over there. The wife says, there's a man called Grigasha, the agriculture officer. When he comes next, talk to him about that idea. Because obviously it was very laughable. The wife has learned, but she is a wise woman. She doesn't argue. So the Grigasha finally comes. And he says, the Grigasha comes from the door and says, may I see the owner of the home? He says, I'm the owner. No, I don't mean you. The lady. Because you see, he thinks he is a strange man coming. So he has to convince the Grigasha, although the wife has been there, I am the real owner. And then so the wife finally comes and says, oh, tell Grigasha what you wanted to say. The Grigasha burst into laughter, and the wife and the Grigasha are laughing because it's a very, very laughable idea. Within 3 years, the guy is dead. Because you see, you are the movers and shakers. Now here in the village, you are nothing. That's why I told you the location of your retirement could kill you. And Madam has given us enough stories to know the dangers of retiring in the wrong place. Anyway, let's start here. Now let's see if we'll go back to the back. Okay.
Mr. Kanga, I hope I'll be able to limit myself. I want to say I came to this seminar workshop because I'm the ambassador for all the persons in training. And therefore, I advocate for all the older persons, including you. So you can't advocate for them without having to learn from the experts. And that's why I'm here. So I'm not here for any other purpose other than to learn. First of all, I want to congratulate you. The last time I attended your lecture was 10 years ago. It was full of humor and knowledge. And 10 years later, it's the same, even better. So I congratulate you. That's one. Number two, I am one person who doesn't understand or know the definition of retirement because I've never retired. And I'm older than you.
Yes.
Because I find anytime I try to retire, like the time I retired at the age of 38, I retired from retire. And now again I found myself in a working situation. An example, when I reached the age of 70, I sat down and thought about myself. What do I want to be? How do I want to live my life? And I found, somebody said that the most productive period is 61 to 70. The second most productive period is 71 to 80. The third most productive period is 51 to 60. I had already served two of those. So I asked myself, am I going to make this one go to waste? So I have refused to retire at the age of 73. And because I will retire at 80. So I don't know how it will be at that time. But then, there are also things you can't escape. In old age, there are things like what you have said. Me, at 21, I didn't even believe that Jesus was true Jesus. At around 50, I had already believed he is my Savior. Because beyond 60, I now knew I was waiting to join him and he went to build a house for me. And that's the time when I really, truly, as a Catholic, began to learn how to pray. Today, after 70, I have 2 cars. There are 2 rosaries in every car, just in case one may not work better. I sometimes look at the car and I think this one has bigger magic. And I must pray a rosary before, when I start from Nairobi to Thika, and from Thika to Nairobi. So I've become very prayerful. Even before I sleep, I must say a Hail Mary or something, so that if I die at night, I'll have died in prayer. So that spirituality comes. I've also found myself that I'm beginning to strike off from my notebook some useless friends who don't add value. Because sometimes I feel they are wasting my time. And I'm looking for people like Waruhio there, who when he laughs and he makes me happy, I feel that he's adding more life into me. So I'm consolidating few friends, powerful ones like Wambua, because I feel they are helping me. And I can tell you, if you begin to do these things, I have also talked about death, until death is almost coming. My wife, my children, they know now when I die, I want a coffin that is not more than 10 years, 10,000, because I waste time with a lot of timber. And timber, should be used for other purposes. They already know that when I die, I'll be escorted to Karioko and get burned. So you can't use 200 days coffin to go and burn it just after you have just bought it. So get a simple one and burn it, and it will not hurt you. So when you build these things into you, I feel now I'm so happy, I'm so serene, and I enjoy in old age. So I want to endorse what he's saying. Try and sit down and say, from now onwards, to so much, how do I want to live my life? I live it in stages. Now it is between 70 and 80. When I reach 80, I'll sit down and I'll assess, and I know how I want to live it. Yeah. But don't say, I have retired. Yeah. Me, I don't agree with you. I'm a lawyer, and there is no retirement. You retire when you die. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, next, the one behind you, the gentleman behind you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Patrick Motemi. I agree with Kennedy, I'm not retired, but I'm in the retirement age.
No, since he doesn't like the word.
Yes.
It's not pronounced retired. You are retired. You got new tires.
Yes.
So all of us, I told you when Shell said I'm an old man, I registered a consultancy firm.
Yes.
I'm now wearing new tires. So I'm
Tired.
And that's, I think you and me are in the same place.
Thank you very much now for that emphasis. Now, I just want to share one or two items very quickly. Also like a question. One of the first one is on social preparation. Retire where your friends are. And how you reconcile that with the medical preparation. Retire where medical facilities are. And I'm talking like an African, where we have Nyalikunga
and Anapamatasia.
And Anapamatasia. Now, those people in those age of 70 and 60 plus,
yeah.
Those people who got big jobs in town are the ones who went to university. And there were very few. So the friends you have, most of them are in the rural areas. Those who became agricultural officers, became teachers, primary school teachers, are up there, down there, rather, not up there, down there. Now, I'll give you an example. In Nairobi, where I've been for nearly 40 years, nearly 50 years, sorry. My friends, we used to have a social place where you used to sit 6 of us.
Yeah.
I tell you, now we are 2.
Out of the 6?
Out of the 6. And now because we are 2, you find when you go there, the other one is not available that day. So I'm talking about how friends get weaned out in this urban area. And you find yourself very lonely. And I'm sure, although most of us must have switched off the phones, but very few phones you get. I've not had anybody.
So there was
going
not,
to-
no
going
wonder
to pick
Karaja
up
never
phone.
told them to switch them off.
No, because you didn't tell them. That's how lonely you become.
Okay.
No phones. You can get a phone, probably if you're a consultant, like you. I'm also a consultant. You get a call once in an hour or so. Many times,
None.
very few calls, and most likely not from your age mates. Whether be either workmates, students whom you train, or your grandchildren, or your children, or that kind of age group. So, retirement where your friends are is a challenge to maintain
Next to the
as
hospital.
you try to maintain the medical facilities.
Okay.
It's a real challenge. The other one I wanted to comment quickly on is on reliance on rent. Rent, rent is like rain. In the Sahara, I read like this week, Qatar, where the World Cup is being held, it rained equivalent of 10 days rain in one night.
Wow.
And it's over. And that this year, they won't get another rain. That's how rainfall in the desert is. But you get quantity, but at an instant. So with rent, I'm just sharing my experience. With rent, you might get very good rent for some time. Then Corona comes. And your tenant loses a job. He was paying 100,000, but the facility is closed where he was working, or where he was earning his income, or his business collapses. And then you find yourself now at that risky age with no income, regular income. It's very risky. So my advice is, I agree with you. If you have reached that age where your children are no longer on your shoulders, and you have a rent house which can give you 100,000 per month, is rather you sell that house, buy an annuity, and in the insurance annuity which has got some medical on top, which are available, or you do even a treasury bill or a bond, where you are guaranteed of regular flow of income. Some investments have got high yields, I agree with you again, high risk, high return. Rent is a high risk, high return investment. Because a lot of things can happen. The house can burn down. Because tenants are not as careful as the owners. You can lose a tenant and so many other risks. Okay, you get good money when you have a tenant and the house is in good shape. But there are also risks. So I just wanted to share those experiences.
No, that's a very, especially that one about the rain.
That's
a good
Thank you very much.
Pass it on behind you.
Thank you. My name is C.S. Munene Waruhio. My apologies, I came in slightly late. I would love to get the previous notes. Three things. Number one, I've just come when this slide was up, and thank you very much, Bwana John Nganga. It just defined for me my almost 4 friends or 5 friends that I need in those categories. I need one friend in spiritual, I need one friend in social, I need one friend in the medical area, the financial, and the ministry health. If I have those friends just around that area, it starts to sort out a lot of our challenges. So for me, as I sat here, I said, wow, probably it's a high time I start to reevaluate the friendship. Probably I have more friends skewed in one area, and I don't have for the other areas. So thank you very much. That's my first take.
Thank you.
My second one is about technology, and I was hoping you touch a bit on technology. Age and technology. I'm a fan of technology myself. And when this conference was organized, the first time, I think it came in very early. I think people were required to book very early. So initially I thought it was to be in October. Then, and I checked again, I saw it's in November, so it worked very well for me on a day like this. So I have just reached that level of the cutoff. Unajua ile inaitwa cutoff. So wamesema cutoff ni, ulisema nini Karanja? 50 and above. So nimefika tu hapo nikasema wacha niende nikasikilize ukifika 50 what happens. So I am here just to learn. But for me technology is very important, especially for us who are entering the senior level and the age level. 3 things that will impact you whether you like it or not. In the next 20 years, you can imagine you will be interacting and engaging with robots. If you have not interacted and engaged yourself to know what they are doing, you will get lost in the city. There are places you will not be able to go. And that's the reality. So we need to start having just those basic things. Even if you are saying, sitaki kujua maneno mingi ya computer, just learn the business of technology. And my friend here, Bwana Kennedy Wamwangi, one time we had a very good chat and we laugh about it because it helps us a lot in terms of engaging. So for us, technology, I think, is an area we need to start embracing, start to learn, just to understand what are the things that are coming our way. So for me, I think when I saw this, I touched on the area of technology because it's going to be very, very conscious of each and every part of us. And I think finally, for me...
You promised us 3.
That's
one.
What I'm saying. This is the final one.
Yeah.
Yes. My final one now is just the reality that indeed we need to embrace and recognize we have crossed over from the line of long life to the line of short life. And I think that was touched by my brother here, Bwana Wamwangi. So the question is, on which side have you prepared for that final destination? Unajua ingine tulikuwa natafuta mali, sasa tunaambiwa hii mali tutawacha, tutaelekea wapi? So I think for me it's just that final statement. And I think thank you for touching on it there, the ministry help and the spiritual prep. That for me I think is very, very critical. The earlier you engage with it, the better. We run a program called the Man Enough program, and for the men who are here, the Man Enough program is a very, very powerful program because it helps you to identify yourself in terms of helping to resolve a lot of your unresolved issues when you are a young boy or when you're a younger man, because it helps you to found you on the right foundation, on the basics of going forward, and then you can impact on the subsequent men. So for me, I think that would be the parting shot, that indeed let's engage on those programs, those trainings, and also be that resource. And I thank you for that statement about being available to be able to offer resource. So engage in activities of mentoring, and especially mentoring. Go to the rites of passage, talk to the young boys, talk to the young ladies who are being mentored. Those opportunities offer us an opportunity to reflect and impact on society. Thank you.
Next person behind you.
Are you giving it to me or to someone
No,
else?
I don't know who.
Are you referring to me?
Obviously,
Grab
yes.
it, just grab it. Kimani, just grab it and show.
Oh, grab it.
You qualify.
Oh, yeah, by far. Thank you, my junior. You can't believe it.
Yes.
And I first of all, I want to encourage you not to feel that you are not expertly. You are expertly because you have lived it. Not from the books, it's not theory. Okay, am I? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear.
Yeah, so you keep saying you are not an expert. You are an expert from experience.
Okay.
So please say it with the authority you are doing.
Okay.
You are doing it. Now, and a lot of things have been said, so I'll try not to repeat. First of all, is about spouses endearing themselves to themselves. It's critical. It's very critical. And men, the boy child, are the culprits here. You are the ones who made your lives difficult with your other half. It's now to try and recover the lost ground. But the point I want to make, even as you endear yourselves as spouses, the children are very critical. I'm a psychologist. From when I retired last, and I want to say there is no such a thing as retirement in Africa. Yeah, it's not a retirement. I have some of my degrees, and I want to blow my trumpet. I have a number of them after retirement. Enable you to keep going. So from psychology, I know that it's not money, only money that you live for. You live for the people who come to see you, who talk to you, and some of those very important ones are your children. If those children you shouted at do not come home, to see you occasionally and their children, you'll be a very lonely person, and you will die of, what did I do to them? They are my children, and they are not even coming to see me. So that, besides the spouses themselves and endearing themselves to themselves, the children are critically important. Not to bring you money. In fact, most of the time you'll be, or some of the time, you'll be the one giving them. But they need to keep coming home. If a fortnight goes without some of my children coming home with their grandchildren, we feel sick because we have a 5-bedroom house. It's a ghost house. In fact, now we have moved to the kitchen. We eat there and we sleep there. You don't need the rest of them. But when the grandchildren come, they allocate themselves a room each. Life goes on. Socially, the social aspect of it, who do you associate with? Some people are waiting for you to retire to spend the pension release that you have got together. And there is no money that is too much. 1 million will just go like that. Especially if you are generous. And the Waruhi is here, he's my elder. Keep praising you for how you have managed it in life, and you are very generous to him. That money will diminish very, very quickly. So you choose your friends very carefully, but you also need them. You need to know that you are appreciated. So the social life you talked about, you be very careful. Dr. Katere talked about the problem of re-entry.
Yeah.
I think you must have heard about it.
Yeah.
How this thing which goes to those levels atmosphere,
The rockets up.
they experience trouble going there and coming back. So when we retire and we go to retire in the village, the problem of re-entry into the village. They are waiting for you to come and be chairman and secretary and so on and spend the only money you have. And that money looks a lot, but it goes away very, very quickly. I want to encourage reading. I didn't know you are nearly my age. Although we look like the same wrinkles appear to suggest that. Reading and passing exams and having certificates, well them for whatever they are worth. Because you are in writing. Because you keep your hair alert. Otherwise it just dies. And then you get admired and you feel you still belong. You are inspiring very many people. This is, you have a master's. At this time you are accredited. This man led me to accreditation by the courts as a mediator. Imagine, I'm in very high demand, but I don't get paid. They think they are entitled to it. After all, I've lived on them. During my time. So I don't know what else I have to say. I don't know what to do.
No, those are very good ideas, Justin.
What is
Especially that thing emphasizing you need to reconcile with the children.
The children.
You beat them badly, find a way of apologizing and recreating the friendship.
Yeah, I didn't say how many points I had because I knew you would keep telling me you said 3 and you are on the 4th. But the other thing is that the insurance is not in the business of paying claims. That is not why insurance is start their business. It's not to pay claims. It is to avoid them and receive only premiums. And you don't want to fall sick or have an accident so that you can use a premium you pay. No, and they know it. So do not look for an insurance because to benefit you in any financial way. This institute has a facility like that of insurance, doesn't it? But it excludes me, Banakaranja. I don't qualify for that program unless I'm wrong. It discriminates against my age. At 70, how old am I? You keep telling me I'm under 50.
You are going to us 80 more than coming down to 70.
It's true. And the first culprit of age is memory.
Yeah, okay.
This is the time to memorize things and keep them there. They come out automatically. Don't try to remember things. I will make you older. Memory is an early culprit of age. But read and do things. You do as well as your younger sons and so on.
Thank you.
Well,
I think that's okay now. I think that side is done, so we can bring the mic this side of the. Give it across the line. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, members. Thanks for the good presentation you've done. My name is Kiage, or as in Kiage. Kiage. CPA Kiage. I do practice in town. I'm an accountant as well as a registrar. The whole issue I've been thinking about is all these things here. All these things here, that's spiritual and also social, medical, financial, all this. In most African countries, we have a big problem. What did the developed countries did, and they have the old age, whereby when you get home, you go there, you are treated as a senior citizen who has worked for that government, and you are getting everything. Our children are going overseas, America, United Kingdom. They go and take care of those people. And you get all this. But now, us, especially in Kenya, or in Africa, let's call it Africa, we don't have such a thing. And that's why you see very few old people who are in Africa. But when you go to those developed countries, they are very, very old people. And they are strong. Some they don't have even teeth. Those people understand who are washing them. They come and fight them. And they like that way. Why don't African governments think about all this? People have worked for this nation. People have worked. And they are now, it's like you are thrown away. You can't come and start depending on kids. Kids have their own problems. They have their own problems. You become a border. You are troubling them. They don't even come home. They say tukienda huko tunaenda kuitizwa kitu. Even us, when you retire, you go home. They say don't retire. When you go home, you get that those people who were at your age, you were circumcised together. They are not there. They have gone.
They are dead.
They are dead.
Wow.
So you say you have friends. Which friends can you have? Unless you go to the old age where you meet people and then you start telling stories. When you are old, you tell stories and those people become happy. I saw one where we had old age up in Kasarani. I don't know where that thing went, whether it's there or not. And the people are not even ready to contribute to it. So that's my comment.
I think your message is home.
That's my comment.
This Muse, in his 8th, he's on the 8th floor.
Yeah.
He has promised to advocate for us. Now you have heard. We need a law that forces the government to look after us. Did Mr. Kiage, am I repeating it correctly?
Yeah.
He has a job and he has so many friends and peers.
I've already done it.
You're already doing it?
I'm already doing it.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have to finish there. I've gone way beyond my time, but I hope it was useful time. So let's hand over back.